You can never put a price tag on family, but for infertile couples, there's a dollars and cents part, which can't be ignored. During National Infertility Awareness Week, we are putting the struggles in focus, the emotions, the cost, and the unique ways people are building their families.
For years, infertility was somewhat of a taboo subject, something people hid from the world and didn't talk about. Now, more and more, people are opening up, sharing their struggles, and enlisting help from family, friends, and even strangers on their hopeful journey to parenthood. The Stone House is full of laughter these days, and sometimes a little chaos among their three kids. But Tina and Jimmy Stone wouldn't have it any other way. Since their marriage 12 years ago, there was one thing they always knew.
We were going to have a kid no matter what. You know, that's all we knew. That's all we focused on. And we loved being around other people's children. And, you know, it's who we were.
They never anticipated a long road to parenthood wrought with pain. Tina got pregnant right away, but suffered a miscarriage. The couple continued trying for another year, but did not get pregnant. They turned to Shady Grove Fertility Center, where Dr. Gilbert Matla diagnosed Tina with endometriosis.
30 to 40% of all women who have infertility have some element of endometriosis. It's a condition where the lining of the uterus gets outside of the uterus onto other body organs or the ovaries, the tubes, the intestine.
The couple was fortunate to have insurance that covered in vitro fertilization. It's a process where an egg is fertilized by a sperm outside of the body and then is transferred to a woman's uterus. But after 3 rounds using Tina's eggs, it didn't take. The news was devastating.
We were picking ourselves up. You kind of have to cross that off your list of things that you're going to do. You're not going to get pregnant. You're not going to have a baby that way. You can't.
The Stones again weighed their options and decided to adopt. They became parents to their daughter, Ella.
It was an amazing experience, and it helped us get past the mourning process of not having or to bear a child, you know. So, but I wouldn't change that for the world.
For couples struggling with infertility, the decision to grow their families isn't made lightly and often comes with a great financial burden. The average cost of just one cycle of IVF is around $12,000, and the process often requires more than one cycle to be successful. Adoptions can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and using a surrogate to carry your child can soar past the $100,000 mark.
You've heard of people using up all of their credit cards, people taking loans out, refinancing their homes.
Barbara Kalora of Resolve, the National Infertility Association, says Maryland is one of only 15 states that requires employers to provide insurance coverage for infertility treatment. But even then, there are limitations.
Even with the great mandate, there are a lot of people in Maryland who are still having to pay out of pocket.
That's what the Stones found when they decided to try IVF again. Their insurance only covered 3 cycles, which they exhausted the first time around, so they had to get creative.
We finished off the basement of our house and we rented it out to help come up with the cost to go towards paying for it. And we reached out to people to see if they'd be able to deal with it.
This time, the Stones knew they would have to use donor eggs, which is more expensive. To bring the costs down, they decided to do a shared donor program where eggs from one donor are used by more than one couple.
We can share eggs between 2 recipient couples, or maybe even 3 with very high producing donors, reducing the cost, enabling more patients to access this treatment, and keeping our high success rate up.
They also took advantage of a unique program offered by Shady Grove called Shared Risk. It gave them the security of knowing they'd either have a baby or still be able to pursue other options if Tina didn't get pregnant.
To us, that meant we're going to spend all of this money to do this thing, but if it doesn't work, we'll get our money back and we'll go adopt. One way or another, it's going to work out.
And just like they thought, it worked out, ×2.
Baby A and baby B. I went to the dollar store, bought every little dollar pregnancy test they had, just so I could watch the little lines getting darker and darker and darker. What's this one? Good night. Lion. Lion. Lion.
Twins Skylar and Riggin have completed this family. It was a long, trying journey, but the Stones now have the family they've always wanted. They're sharing their story to show other couples dealing with the same struggles that they're not alone. And though there's plenty of heartache, there are also happy endings.
Never give up if you want a family.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all I can really say is you will find ways to expand your family.
Shady Grove Fertility Center is the largest in the country, with several locations here in Maryland. Often with fertility treatments, though, you only hear about IVF, but that's really for the most serious cases. Dr. Madla, who you just saw in the piece, says there are other treatments that are far less costly and are often sometimes the only things that a couple needs to conceive a child. In 20 years, the team has helped couples bring 27,000 babies into the world.